Ministry fam, welcome back for another Sunday So What? And a special happy Father's Day to our incredible dads out there. Couldn't imagine life without you, including all those dads who act as father figures. Y'all are huge, so thank you for all you do. But this also is where we kind of break down Sunday's sermon and let our interns kind of run with it and kind of share what God has put on their heart this morning. But before we do that, in honor of Father's Day, our interns are going to share their favorite dad jokes. So do them a favor and laugh, even if it's not funny.
Oh, you will.
So, all right, whoever going first, take it away.
All right, I'll start today.
All right.
What do you call a fish with no eye?
What? So good. Oh man.
I guess I'll follow up. I don't think I can beat that one, but what do you call a lazy kangaroo?
What?
A pouch potato.
I'm gonna go with the classic. What do you call a cheese that's not yours?
That's right there.
Nacho cheese.
No!
Okay. Okay. When is the best time to ask a hamburger questions?
Win.
Grill time.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Moving on.
On that note, we're gonna keep on moving. There's a reason they're ministry interns and not comedians, but we love them. Just kidding. So guys, today we started a new series called Reconciled. And this morning it was our incredible church plant pastor, Charles Wright. And he was talking about what does it look like for us to reconcile our relationships within the church and with God. And so my first question for our awesome interns is, pause. We're going to read Matthew 28, 16 through 20, and then we'll go ahead and do it.
Yeah, awesome. So I'll go ahead and read that. Matthew 28, starting in verse 16. So it says, Then the 11 disciples went to Galilee, to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshipped him, but some doubted. And then Jesus came to them and said, All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me. Therefore, go and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. And surely I am with you always to the very end of the age.
Awesome. Thanks, Diego. But yes, so first question, what was your main takeaway from this morning's message?
I really liked where Charles kind of talked about how our main goal is to love others completely with that Christ-like love. But he talked about how are we supposed to love others and love our community and the world around us if we can't even do that in our own church body and even like in our own family as well. So how we can't be expected to go out and love others if we're not even kind of representing that in our own church. And so I think it was really convicting of just like taking a step back and realizing that and trying to maybe like take steps forward and seeing how we can better do that in our own church community right now. So
My main takeaway was when he talked about the early church. I didn't realize how many different people there were in that church. There were poor people, there were rich people, there were Jews and Gentiles, there were all kinds of different people. And so he had said normal divisions of people were transcended because of Jesus. So even though they were poor and rich and Jew and Gentile, they all came together because they loved Jesus. And I think that's so cool, and that's what we should aspire to be like, you know?
Yeah.
And so that was my main takeaway.
Yeah. So my main takeaway from today's sermon was that he talked about that we need to be walking together in our journey with Christ. And as we begin to walk together, we start to build a relationship together of worshiping the Lord and building each other up and really just being able to walk through life better together because we're building a better relationship with people of all different ethnicities and economic statuses like God planned to do.
Yeah. One point that he put down at the bottom of the screen that stuck out to me was talk about what the church is, and the 2 points they said is the church is people who are reconciled to God and people who are reconciled to each other. That really stuck out to me, and just like a little addition, being up at Dallas where I go to college, I do go to a multi-ethnic church there, and I didn't think, much of it before going, like how, what's the word, not diverse, churches that we go to really are. It's like, yeah, there's a couple different ethnics in the church that I go to, like in New Braunfels or here. But it's different when you go there and you're the minority and you see like how people worship different and how ultimately like they still have the same fire for Jesus that we do. So it really just changes your perspective.
That's cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. So why does reconciliation with God change how we view each other?
So this is a really good question, and I think it relates to a lot of different aspects of ourselves. When we believe in Jesus, our whole life is really changed. But I think one thing, so I looked up what reconciled meant because I didn't really know. And I'm like, I've gone to church all my life, but I didn't really know. And it says being reconciled is the action of making one compatible with another. And so like Noah had kind of said earlier, first we're reconciled with God. So Jesus came and died for us, and so that we are like covered by his blood, so we are reconciled with God. We are God can like be with us now. And so then that makes us reconciled with others too, because now as believers we can both love and be one with each other. And so I think that is so cool that we have that in common. And I have a lot of college friends who like I probably never would have talked to, but because we go to church and we both love Jesus, we have something in common that we can bond over and really love each other with. And so I think that's super, super powerful.
Yeah, awesome.
So I would say God has to change our heart. He will change our heart through prayer. And once he does that, our whole life will change after that, because once God has changed your life, there's no going back. Once the Holy Spirit is with you, there's no going back. And so if you watch the past Sunday, So What's, big on love. And so Charles said in the sermon, he didn't give the exact verse, but it's in 1 John 3. It says, anyone who hates his brother is a murderer. It's a harsh truth, but the verse before says, we know that we've been passed out of death into life because we know that, because we love the brothers. Whoever does not love abides in death. And so that's like a strong, hard-hitting point. Like if we don't love, then have we truly been changed? And you're just living in death, honestly, if you don't love. So that really hit me. And I think that's how we can reconcile to others.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So why does diversity in the church matter?
Yeah. I think one thing that Charles said is he said that the multi-ethnic church is not just a model, but it's God's primary plan for how he created everything. And so I thought that was really cool how he kind of talked about the Old Testament and like the churches back then, and just like the tension even between like Jews and Gentiles, like that was a really big deal back then. But how even back then, like the gospel and Jesus, like all those like roadblocks, the gospel transcended all that, and they worshiped together, and the church was a whole. And it wasn't split as it is kind of now, more so. And so even like as time has gone on, I think we've kind of fallen away from that, definitely, if you look at like the church now compared to back then. But just thinking that that's God's primary plan, and we know that God's plan is perfect no matter what. And so I think just recognizing that and making the efforts to strive and bring that back together as it was more so in the Old Testament. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So for me, I would think that it's really like God, even in these verses that we read, he says, therefore go make disciples of all nations. He didn't say one nation, he didn't say this nation in particular, he said all nations. So it's really important to have a big diversity in the church, because that's what God said. Chris said it's his plan. It's his plan, and Pastor Charles even said that the church is supposed to be a representation of heaven. So if we're not living that out, we're not living as God said that we need to be living.
Yeah, sure. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, thanks for answering those questions so well. And that's what we encourage you guys, right? Is God has this beautiful plan for what the church is supposed to look like. And one of my favorite examples anybody ever gave me was that the church is like a stained glass window. Like just like a stained glass window is made of pieces of different sizes and different colors. The same is true for the church. We all look different. We all come from different lives. We all have different stories, but they all come together because they're all made by the same creator, which is incredible. And so we all have an amazing part to play in seeing the church be what it's supposed to look like in heaven. But yeah, so awesome sermon. If you guys didn't get to watch it, encourage you to go and watch it. It honestly, incredible. But we do have a couple announcements for you guys really quick. So first is our live stream is back this Wednesday at 7. So make sure you are there with us. We're gonna have a fun surprise guest speaker with us. So y'all want to be there for that. And we'll also have a fun game for you guys. And then also we want to encourage you to invite someone to watch that watch it with you on YouTube. So we've been doing watch parties with life groups and stuff like that. And so we encourage you to almost have your own little watch party with your friends, which would be super cool. Secondly, we had so much fun with you guys at D Groups this last Thursday, and we're doing it again this week, this Thursday from 12 to 2. Make sure you're here, bring your lunch and a lawn chair, and we are gonna hang out outside. So definitely be there for that. And then also be looking out for more summer announcements and updates, and maybe even some awesome registration updates. So keep your eye out for that. We have incredible things planned for you guys. We love you. We are so proud of you. We miss you. And